This is an emergency broadcast of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This is not a drill. Remove any children and pets from your home and go to your nearest shelter. Remember to at all times listen to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. And whatever you do, do not under any circumstances trust what you see.
And we're live.
So I had something happen to me yesterday that was a very, very bizarre, weirder than seeing a UFO meeting an alien. You want to hear it? It's very, very bizarre story.
Yeah, tell me.
So we live in an area where there are a lot of those, I'm setting up context, a lot of those, like, I call them biker enthusiasts, where they've got those bikes with the goofy handlebars and the really thin wheels, and they wear the tight clothes and the short shorts and the streamlined helmet. So I'm on my way to my friend's house. We lifted weights yesterday. It was great. And a song comes on shuffle, and it's Aliens Exist by Blink-182, a great song. And as the song comes on, I pass a group of these bikers, and as I get closer, I realize they're not on single bikes. They're all on tandem bikes. And it was like 12 people all on tandem bikes, but they were tandem, like, bike enthusiast bikes.
Yeah.
With the goofy handlebars and really thin wheels, and they were tandem. I don't know. That really creeped me out.
So wait, they all had those?
Yeah. And science can't explain what I saw.
No, and that happens. Science can't explain many things,
Right.
which is maybe why everything has to go through that lens. It just ignores a big part of this universe. You know what I mean? Completely just throws it out.
Right. The rules just don't apply sometimes.
No, they don't.
The rules we've all come to understand.
Well, we have a lot to get to this week. I didn't know how many links we shared. There was a lot going on too. So I guess let's just go one by one.
Yeah.
Right. And then let's try to get through this. Well, lots of people are listening to the show. Well, not lots. I mean, comparatively to the past couple of months. So listenership is growing, which is nice to see. On all platforms. It could be because we're on all the platforms now, mostly Apple, Google.
Yeah, and we want to thank you all for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. That's Adam. I'm Topher. And
that's right.
We appreciate all the listenership, and any feedback you guys can give us would be great.
Absolutely. And I think on Spotify, they are asked this question, like, what do you think of the episode? So please share with us. Let us know how we're doing. Do you like the format? Do you think we're funny? Do you think we're not funny? Whatever it is. All right. So here's this one. Nicely queued up.
All right.
These things are back.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. There is a Missouri rancher that's getting tired of making some disturbing discoveries on her land.
Well, cattle found dead, and the manner of their deaths are a real mystery. Zach Tecklenburg traveled to Henry County to see it for himself.
Yeah, 3 different cows on 3 different days found mutilated. Their owner is out of rational explanations, and that has her looking to the sky.
I'm normally a very private person, but I'm willing to do this because it's just something I want some answers to.
Henry County rancher Lynn Mitchell is perplexed. She found one of her 1,500-pound cows dead in the pasture on July 19th. Its tongue sliced out, its heart exposed.
It wasn't detached. It was just hanging out there.
Something similar happened just 3 weeks earlier.
I looked at first to see her tongue was gone, then immediately noticed the udder had completely been removed.
Lynn says this cow's reproductive organs were gone too. Making the death more mysterious, this char mark, still visible today, surrounded the cow. Lynn couldn't believe it was happening again. She found the first cow more than a year earlier, December of 2011.
She had obviously been cut on the side of her jaw. Her tongue was gone. Her ear was gone.
In all 3 deaths, Lynn says the cuts were clean, like they were done during a surgery, and there was no blood despite the animal's gaping wounds. And since the cows graze in such an isolated place, nobody saw or heard a thing. The sheriff's department and a veterinarian have investigated, but just like Lynn, they can't find an answer.
The more it happens, the more questions you get, and the more you try to research and learn, you find more and more things that make you ask more questions.
With all the reasonable causes debunked, Lynn says she's open to the possibility that extraterrestrial life could be responsible.
Of course, that's the one that gets the one that gets the clicks, right?
Yeah.
And I like how it might be, could be, but We love the extraterrestrial.
Well, it is a very interesting phenomenon. This actually also happened in Texas recently. I don't know if you've been keeping up with it. And as I
Yeah.
was a while ago, maybe a year ago, I was really into Skinwalker Ranch. You remember I would talk about it constantly.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of cattle mutilations that happened on there too. And it's kind of the same thing where there's no explanation and they can't figure it out. But one of the interesting facts I came across is no one has ever been arrested for cattle mutilation.
Hey, that's a good point.
No one has ever gotten in trouble for doing it. So there's seemingly, no
Weird.
proof that anyone is doing this. And what other people, I guess,
Animal. I mean, I know people say that, but I mean, it's just, could it be because the tongue has a lot of, like, we don't eat these parts, right? But I mean, they are the most nutritious, like the tongue, the liver, the stomach. These, I forget what they're called, those parts. But I guess it's the precision of it too, right? It was like cut perfectly. The sexual
perfection.
Yeah. And this just happened in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
I'm blanking now on her name. I can't believe it. She's one of the biggest UFO researchers, has one of the biggest platforms too. She won an award. I think she did an HBO movie about cattle mutilations in the 70s. It's an award-winning documentary about it.
And just as an aside, cows are really, really expensive. That's why it's a big deal that these people are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Because if you lose a cow, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's why she's coming out. She goes, what's that's why she's probably on TV too. She wants to know what is going on.
Right.
So yeah, it was on HBO. I wish I can remember the documentary now. Anyway, if I remember, I'll put it into the show notes. So yeah, and there's a new season of Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if you saw that.
I haven't started watching it, but it's on my radar. I want to watch that. Is it any good? Have you watched it?
No, I haven't. But I'm going to share a cool clip that they have of the new owner. He's on the
Mesa.
Here it is.
Every time that we enter the ranch, we've seen more evidence of the reality of the phenomenon, and we are committed to getting the answers.
It's a paranormal hotspot, rife with phenomena and ripe for scientific study. There's something in the sky.
Look, they launched a missile.
Skinwalker Ranch covers 512 remote acres in Utah. A team of scientists has spent years there investigating, trying to understand the unexplainable, and sharing their findings in the hit History Channel show, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
In your experience at Skinwalker Ranch, what are some of the phenomena you've encountered?
My first real compelling experience was 6 months into owning the property. We saw what can only be described as a flying saucer above the Mesa Plateau.
What?
And I bought the property as a skeptic.
We've had people that have been exposed to microwave and or acoustic energies that's caused them to be put in the hospital.
The doctor finally came with results and basically couldn't say what exactly happened.
There's a thing hovering over the launch site.
You've got resources, you've got experts, you've also got skeptics.
Yeah,
right.
Plenty of them.
What do you say to them?
I think it is important to note that we are not driven by a narrative or an inherited narrative. We are driven by the data.
I'm not going to try and convince skeptics. What I'm going to do is do the experiments and report the data as the scientific methods trained us to do, and let everybody else make their own decisions.
For Good Morning America.
Speaking of scientific method, at least they're doing it right. I mean, they're trying to capture it on cameras. They're trying to capture it on microphones, on different types of scientific instruments. I mean, that's the way to do it. But what are the skeptics saying? I don't even know what the skeptics are saying. What are they saying? That's just anomalies.
I think they just say not real. They don't have, because if you're a skeptic, you don't have anything to prove. That's the hard part about UFO study is if you're trying to prove that UFOs exist, you're already picking the contrarian side, and you have to argue that it's real. If you're a skeptic, you come up with any excuse. They're using drones, they're faking it, it's CGI. You just say it's not real. But anyone who's interested in learning more about Skinwalker Ranch, and it is a very fascinating piece of property. People for decades in recent time have seen stuff. The Native Americans avoided the area. They called it it's the location is in the path of the skinwalker is what they refer to it, Native
Oh.
Americans. But Jeremy Corbell, our favorite, he
What the?
he really made it mainstream when he came out with his documentary.
Yeah.
Help me out here. Is it called Skinwalker Ranch?
I think yeah, Skinwalker Ranch. Just that or now I'm forgetting. Corbell Skinwalker. I think it's just called Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch Secrets. Oh no.
No, that's not it.
Hunt for the Skinwalker. Hunt for the Skinwalker.
Hunt for the Skinwalker. It's a book, and it's also a documentary. Jeremy Corbell, as much flack as we give him, he did a really good job on that documentary. It sums up everything that's happened on that ranch up until it was sold to the person before that bought this property.
Yeah, it was with Bigelow at first. Yep. He had it for decades, and he worked with the Defense Intelligence Agency, the federal government. So it was also.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so they were doing experiments, I think, for 2 decades or something until they just sold it to this new guy.
Well, he ended up I think he worked for the federal government, but then he created his own UFO UFO research agency called NICAP.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's how serious he took it.
Oh yeah, I mean he had Hal Puthoff in there. He was paying these guys salaries. Hal Puthoff was part of it. I think Eric Davis. All these guys who are well known in the UFO.
It's really confusing. I think it got folded into ATIP, and then ATIP turned into it got folded into Blink-182 guy. His thing, Academy to the Stars. Academy. Right. Yeah. Anyway, it's a very confusing chain of events. But check out that Hunt for the Skinwalker documentary. I'm
definitely going to watch this new season. I really want to.
I'll start watching it as well.
It's on History Channel, right?
Yeah, it's also streaming. I saw it. It might be on Amazon Prime or something. I saw it on one of the streaming sites I was scrolling through the other day.
Well, speaking of Jeremy Corbell, they have a new episode of Weaponized. I don't know if you heard this one. It focuses on Russia. Russia's secret UFO files, like basically when Russia fell, George Knapp said this is an opportunity to go there and try to get all this information. If
you mean when the USSR fell?
Yes, is that what I said?
You said Russia when Russia fell. USSR.
Yeah, sorry, USSR when Soviet Union fell. George Knapp went there and he sat there for months, going back and forth, just meeting with officials and trying to get as much UFO evidence as possible. I'll put just a small clip. That he shared when he came in, but the whole episode's amazing. I love when he tells stories, man. The guy's amazing. Like, we're so lucky to have someone like him.
March 1991, radar at the Leningrad airport detects first 1, then 2, then 3 unidentified objects hovering over a nuclear plant. From a dead stop, the UFO zipped away at 2,000 miles per hour. The Urals, 1976. A photographer clicks this shot and later provides a more detailed drawing. May 1992. A military team in the Kola Peninsula tapes this spinning object. In Tbilisi, a crew shooting a music video spots this overhead. Today, average Russians are free to discuss UFOs, but it wasn't always so. Through the 50s and 60s, the Kremlin declared UFOs
Anyway, yeah, but he has a lot of these that he shares, and he tells other stories and how he actually got these things out. And anyway, definitely check that one out. And that might happen here too when this country, maybe not actually, because it's not the government doing it, right? It's private contractors. So even if this system collapses, we still might not have any information coming out of the government regarding this, except that they covered it up.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting to see an empire doing that. And they took it seriously. They spent a lot of money studying UFOs.
A lot of governments do. I know Brazil's a big one as well. A lot of other countries, for some reason, they're more open to the idea that you don't get ridiculed and made fun of for being into this kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. They all deny it in public, but then they take it and make fun of it, and then they take it really seriously in private.
Yeah, that's our government to a T.
Yeah. And it's weird how they all do it. Why doesn't one of them come out? I know France has always studied this seriously and publicly. They released multiple reports. Too bad they're always in French, but they do that.
And I think it's just that's how weird the phenomena is. I mean, look at the guy up in Canada, Hellier. I mean, he came out and he was saying, there's what was he the 12 races guy? I can't remember.
That's him. Yeah.
I mean, and that's just a bizarre take, but that's a government official coming out and saying that, know.
Yeah, and he was mostly upset that the U.S. government is shooting at these things. That's what he was upset about. He was, why are you guys going to start a war?
A war that we can't possibly win.
Yeah, exactly.
We could not complete.
So, speaking of countries, did you hear about this? What happened in Japan?
I did not.
Now we lost the communication.
Look how sad they look.
We have to assume that it may we could not complete the landing on the lunar surface.
That sucks, man. They couldn't land on the moon. They tried, and they failed.
I didn't hear about that. I mean, I knew they launched something towards the moon, but I guess they lost their probe, huh?
They lost it, and Japanese. Hopefully, they don't go do something serious to themselves, but they're really upset.
Japanese culture is pretty brutal. Failure is not accepted.
Dude, I feel so bad for them. I mean, so the Israelis tried this, I think 3 years ago too, and they failed. They failed landing on the moon. They crashed. They crash landed. And this one, Japanese, they just lost communications with it. They have no idea where it is. It's lost.
Yeah, it's interesting that space travel is so difficult when we were able to do it apparently so easily during the Cold War.
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps making fun of too. It's we're in 2023. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think with all of our technological upgrades since then, it wouldn't be so difficult. But apparently space is just as brutal as ever.
Yeah, it's not easy. It is not easy. And we're sending astronauts again to the moon. So hopefully we can land, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's what happened. This is my personal opinion. I think that we did go to the moon with the high-tech stuff that we have, the anti-gravity stuff. But I believe what they showed us was fake on TV. And the different countries don't say anything because they, they're scared to, because imagine having to deal with a country that has that type of technology. But that's just my opinion. And that we went there using different technology than what was shown on television. And that's why the ones on television just looks ridiculous, because it is ridiculous.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that NASA's been caught doing something like this. Actually, there was I told you about this YouTube channel, I think last week. I don't know if you ever got to it. It's called The Y Files. This guy breaks down different conspiracies about aliens and.
Oh yeah. I didn't get to watch a lot of videos though, but yes, I did. I subscribed to him. So
yeah,
if he does anything new, hopefully it'll pop up.
His most recent one is talking about the pictures that we've gotten from Mars, and talks about how NASA openly admits how much they edit those. And one of the pictures is almost proven to be from their training area up in like a remote island in Canada.
Oh
because you can see animals, you can see an animal hiding behind a rock, like a little rat that's it lives in the area that they train in, and they just slapped a filter on it and said, yep, that's Mars. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if what we saw was heavily doctored.
Like why? I mean, I know, and I've seen all these videos of the green screen stuff that they put on the ISS. All the they've been caught like with basically a green screen behind them, faking the floating and faking other things floating. I mean, it can get really ridiculous. So
yeah,
it sucks that they get caught doing that stuff, because it makes people trust them less.
Right. And then that's the problem with any of these people who research UFOs or Sasquatch, or even when the government does it. If you get caught faking once, your credibility for everything else comes into question.
Yeah, that's it. Here's a good article that came out, why all government UFO studies are shams and where the real investigation is done. And this is the reality of it. If the government's going to come out like Blue Book, here he says, these studies have been variously conducted by or for the DoD, DIA, Air Force, Navy, and NASA. Project Sign, 1948. Project Grudge, 1949 and 1951. Project Twinkle studied green fireball phenomena, 1949 to 1952. Project Blue Book, 1952 to 1969. Robertson Panel, 1953, and the Condon Committee, 1966 to 1968. And then there's 2000s, and now we have this new one, right? Arrow. 2022 to present. So he says, on the very face of it, it seems ridiculous that with all the supposed efforts by government over so many years, no real insight into the phenomenon has ever been forthcoming. How is it possible that these U.S. agencies, after so very much time has passed, have yet to provide any understanding of what people have been seeing and reporting? Something else is clearly going on, and the public has now become both weary and wary of government UFO studies. So this guy's saying Battelle. So Battelle is one of the contractors that are on our bases.
We talked about them last week, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's the guy from Alien Scientists, right? He asked her that to go look into Battelle because they have everything. He's the study of the Roswell memory medal by Battelle. There's links in this article. The UFO Pentagon papers. The revealing FOIA reply to request for UFO debris tests by Bigelow Aerospace. We just talked about Bigelow. Bigelow is the one who owned
Skinwalker Ranch. Yep.
Yeah. So they're in there too, and they've been studying all these. And he's a defense contractor, private. You can't FOIA these people. They're not government. They can just say sorry, we don't have it, or you don't. I think you have to get a judge. You might have to, for a private company, you probably have to sue, and a judge would have to order them to share material, and he won't. Because you can't pierce corporations unless they're doing something illegal.
Can't pierce the corporate veil.
Right. Unless
I
it's
learned
really...
about that in business school.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So he goes, why are private sector companies involved in UFO study? The U.S. government does not make anything. They do not manufacture any system or device. If attempts are made at replication and construction of systems and materials used in recovered UFOs, it must be produced by private sector companies. They are not subject to FOIA. They are not compelled to respond to inquiries in the press or from anyone else. They are insulated from questions and investigations of anything related to their research and development activities. They have staff who maintain top secret SCI clearances and who are often former, very senior level military or intelligence officers. So there's that revolving door again, right, that we see with Big Pharma. It happens here too, and that's why they stay quiet. They keep it a secret when they're in the military, and they have that. We saw from Richard Dolan and other researchers that there is that relationship between the contractors and our generals and the DoD. They're gatekeepers of this information, and they get rewarded for it because once they retire, they go into these contractors with huge jobs, sit on the board. They're rewarded for it, so they're incentivized to keep this secret and away from the American people. The staff often do not even realize the impetus of their work as having extraterrestrial origin. Decades have passed since the Roswell UFO crash, and the work on its debris has been highly compartmentalized and blended into existing research in aerospace and other disciplines. Extreme secrecy and security are built into the operational fabric of defense contractors working on highly sensitive projects. So yeah, basically, this new thing, Arrow, unless they give him authority to go to these contractors, real legal authority, then we're not going to get anything out of it. Studying videos that come through or leak through is not going to tell us anything.
Right.
So yeah, I thought this was a timely article, especially with Arrow, and if our Congress just has to know this, they can give the head of Arrow right now the authority to go and really investigate, to go to all these different departments and ask tough questions. He probably won't, though.
No, probably not.
Because there's an incentive for him not to, right?
Right.
And,
or, even if they do, it's not like we're going to know about it.
Yeah, it will still be classified.
Right. They'll release the documents in 50 years, and the whole thing is just one big black box. The whole thing's blacked out.
Yeah, and they still won't release any of this stuff, right? They still won't. It always has a classification for national security. They can always use that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw this one. There was a really cool story from Corso, and General Corso was also Roswell. This is quick, just a minute.
Turns out that Colonel Philip Corso, who was the commander of the Foreign Technology Development Division of the United States Pentagon, reported in a little 8mm home video or film. Actually, it wasn't even a video. It was 8mm film. He filmed a statement to be seen by his grandchildren only after he died, which I was allowed to see, where he basically recounted to his grandchildren that he had been a security officer at Yucca Flats, where we were doing the nuclear bomb testing, all the way back in July of 1945. And he said that he was one of the range security officers, and he took a break for lunch and drove off away from where the site was, where they were preparing the nuclear tests, and encountered a UFO and beings from the UFO who communicated with him telepathically to please have them turn off the radar around the entire nuclear test range so they could flee without being picked up by the radar. And he did it.
What do you think about that?
It's interesting that extraterrestrials are giving our people orders and we follow them. That's my thought there.
But maybe you felt bad for them too, right? That's what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
get shot,
yeah,
or captured. But
it's interesting. So, do you think the radar thing is because they struggle with radar waves, or they did during this time, or do you think it's they truly just didn't want to be seen as to where they were going?
I think, yeah, I don't think I think it does mess with it, because if it is consciousness that's behind this, which they say it is, right, and they're like connected to these crafts, that probably the radar waves does mess with that. I mean, I've heard also with the other interviews that the Roswell crashed because of our radar systems, that it messes up with their. Now, people are like, well, how does that say that they're advanced beings? I mean, there's different trajectories you take with science. Maybe that's just something that we have that was unique to us. Maybe these aren't even extraterrestrials then. Maybe they're just more advanced species here on this planet, and they didn't figure out radar. We figured out radar in World War II.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? There's a whole, various range of possibilities there.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, also if we're shooting them down, they don't want to be shot down. Especially during those times, and it's always around nuclear bases, huh?
Yeah, they're attracted to nuclear, scared by radar.
Very strange.
It really is.
So it's like they're kind of scared of our government in a way, or at least the people in charge. They don't want to get shot. They don't want to get captured. We do have a history of doing that, especially these contractors. Patel, I think, or no, that's another one. There's a CEO of, I'm forgetting the name now, but Knapp had told a story about the CEO saying that they had a live alien on the base.
Oh boy.
Yeah. James Fox was on Rogan. Did you hear him?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm conflicted. Go ahead and share your part, because I'm a little conflicted on something he said.
Well, I'm going to share that one story he has of that footage about going to Area 51. Did you hear that part?
Yes.
Is that the part you have an issue with? Or something else? Because I think I agree. I think
there's something else.
Yeah, I think I know it. Okay, we'll talk about it.
It was everywhere. I was making a doc on UFOs, so I was kind of looking into it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just like categorically believe it, but I'll look into it. So I was looking into it. And I'm going back and forth out there for many times. And then one day I get a phone call from Chuck Clark. And I'm back at home in Northern California, and this is kind of a long way away. And he goes, James, I got something you need to see. I said, okay, well, what is it? I can't tell you. But your jaw's going to hit the floor when you see it. I was like, that good? He goes, oh, yeah, that good. I said, I'm canceling all my plans, jumped in my car, and I drove straight through to Rachel, Nevada. I get to his house. This must have been, I'm going to guesstimate 95, 94, 95. Get to his house, and he's got a double wide right near the little alien. And he pops in this VHS tape. I was like, and it was like two guys on the quintessential road trip just to Area 50, the surrounding areas, Rachel and the extraterrestrial lonely highway, and they're goofing off the alien, taking videos of each other, just the typical road trip out to Area 51, right?
Blair Witch Project.
Totally. And then they're goofing off next to the photographs of the alien and the crash disc, and then they're inside the little alien, and I'm like, okay, where's this going? Then all of a sudden, and I saw this with my own eyes, all of a sudden the car's parked, and it's parked out by the black mailbox in the desert, and it's dusk. The camera is on the armrest between the two seats, and it's slightly cocked, like it's not level, and it's filming the dashboard and the screen, the windshield, and there's two guys in there sounding like, you can't see them, sounding like they're trying to crawl under the seats. I mean, they're freaking out. And then one of them goes, it's over the top of us. It's over the top of us. I'm like, damn, what is this video? Like, what am I, then all of a sudden the car lights up on the inside, but the source of light is above it. Like, if you can imagine, I've never seen anything like this. If you could put a pendulum with a light source above a vehicle, like above the car, like this, but very slow and fluid motion, like rocking back and forth, the shadows and the lights on the inside of the car are doing this really eerily. You've never seen anything like it. I'm looking like, my God, what is going on? And they're very scared. And one kid, who's the younger of the two, is like, I'm getting out. I'm getting out of the car. Stay in the car. It's over the top. Stay in the fucking car. He goes, no, I'm getting out. And he gets out and he videotapes a disc that was so low you could have hit it with a rock. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, that's what all the witnesses have tried to describe. That's like, if you could imagine the skin on the craft glowing like phosphorus on a beach, that's what it looked like. Like the skin was alive, and it had like a yellowy orange color to it, but you could clearly see it was a disc. I mean, it was not an orb, it was a disc, but the metal lit up like it was alive. I'd never seen anything like it.
So he goes more into that. I guess Logan he's an influencer, right?
That's the part I was going to take umbrage with. He says Logan.
Okay, so say it.
He says Logan Paul, the YouTuber, has the original footage.
Well, no, he has. Yeah, well, no, because the guy, he went there for the $100,000, right? He wanted to pay this guy who has it $100,000. The guy said no. It was fine. Can I at least watch it? And then he had a pen camera. I mean, so he was taking videos of it with his camera that he was wearing, and he has that, and he hasn't released that. But he doesn't have the original. The original is still.
Right. So he's got a video. He's got a video of the original.
Of a video, yes. But that guy, I don't think he has the original. But they even reached out to the people who made it. They said, please come forward. I want to interview you. And he said, we have protections for whistleblowers or something like that. But no, there was one that I didn't like, and it glossed over. I want to listen to it again and send it to you, because he was talking about real episodes, right, or real encounters that were happening, and then he brings up this one guy, and then when Rogan finds some interview the guy did, it was ridiculous what the guy was saying. I think he was having sex with aliens or something. And then they started making fun of it. And James Fox just wanted to change the subject and move on because he used that guy apparently as someone with a real encounter, but it was like really ridiculous. I think he was German or something like that.
Man.
That was the one I was like, okay, he can't be that gullible. Although his documentaries are amazing. Phenomenon is something else. What is it? A Point of Contact, the one in Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done great work with that too. But all in all, I think it was a great interview. He brought up all really good cases.
Well, it's always really good, the more this kind of stuff gets in the mainstream, and Rogan is pretty much as mainstream as you can get these days. We need more people that want to believe. Less eye rolling and more, oh, hey, I want to learn more about this. I think that's healthier, for the subject at large.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not crazy, or stop shaming people. Yes, there are going to be crazy people out there. Yes, there's going to be people that want attention. But it's easy to filter out those people.
Yeah,
I think. You sent me something about those envelopes.
Yeah, that was very interesting. That's a pretty old video I sent you, but this is the first I heard of it. It was at George H.W. Bush's funeral. All of the wives of Obama, the wives of Bush Jr., W.
Yep.
They all there's video of them at the funeral at the yeah, not the funeral. What's it called when you're sitting in the church and everyone talks about how great of a person you were when you die?
That's not a funeral.
Well, the funeral I imagine is like when you're actually like outside watching the casket go down.
Yeah. It's not mass or anything, but yeah, I mean, you're in the church.
Anyway, yeah, they're in the church, and they've got video of all the wives of these presidents and ex-presidents receiving, and Clinton, Hillary got one,
Hillary
in their
got one,
in their
yeah.
like in their, I don't know what it's called. You get like a, you know, all the stuff that's going to get talked about. I get like not a brochure. Anyway, they get these weird envelopes, and every single one of them who opens up the envelope, they look at it and they just have these looks of disgust on their faces. And they show it to their husbands, you know, George Bush and Clinton and Obama, and they all just look so disgusted and horrified at whatever was in these envelopes.
Yeah, I remember when it was happening the first time. Of course, Q was the thing back then, and it was all that Q that the white hats in the government are letting the deep state know that their time is coming. And that's what they use as. That's what they use for this, is that that the notes said something like that, like, we know, or we're going to put you on trial.
Unconfirmed, but I read online that the note said something along the lines of, "They know everything, and I'm sorry."
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And it was from HW. I don't think there's no real point.
It's showing what's her name. She's shocked when she sees it.
But Laura Bush has the most visceral reaction.
I remember seeing hers too. It might be threats, and I need to listen to this. But just when you look at someone's face, it could be.
Yeah, it shows them there. No one else has these envelopes. They look at it and they open it up, and they're just, whatever it is, the look on their face is just of utter disgust. And Laura Bush, when she opens it, she shows it to Jeb and W, and they both are just like absolutely. It's like a look of shock and disgust.
And so it must be something like that. I mean, Trump just got into power, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it was like right around then.
So they're showing here something, a close up of Jeb. Is that Jeb right there? No,
that's W.
Oh, that's W. Looking all upset. Did she just show it to him?
Yeah, look, and she looks absolutely horrified.
Whoa.
He's trying to, you can tell he's trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
But wait until the procession. Look at her face, and then she shows it to Jeb, and she's just,
oh, look at
all
Jeb.
three of them. Yeah, Jeb is just like,
he's like, oh, come on.
He looks like he just lost his entire wealth or something. He just looks absolutely flabbergasted and sad and disgusted.
All right, that's. Oh, here it is. They know.
Yeah, that's supposedly the note. They know everything. I'm sorry, from HW.
Well, I don't know if he's talking about they know everything. All right, like what? I mean, I know there's been documentaries out that it was a big part of the JFK assassination. There's his name all over there. So there is that. We know he was vice president. He was our first vice president that was the head of the CIA. Only. I don't think we've had that since then.
Yeah. The whole Bush family is pretty bizarre.
Yeah, it is. But they're deep state.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's just weird how entwined into the higher levels of government they've been for a very, very long time.
Skull and bones, baby.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, this is great. This article is fantastic.
Trudeau says he didn't force anyone to get vaccinated. What a psycho.
So we're seeing this sentiment from Trudeau, and I saw the same thing from Fauci, where they're both saying, "Oh, we didn't force anyone to get vaccinated," which is pretty interesting. If you've got a gun held to your head and you're forced to do something, apparently that's not forcing anyone to do anything. You had the choice. You could either get shot in the head or do what they tell you to do. But you're not.
Yeah, exactly. We gave you the choice. Just get fired from your job or take it. Right. Don't worry about your livelihood or feeding your family. Just take the shot. That's not forcing anyone. I mean, the truckers. We forgot about the truckers, right? What they did. I mean, they were obviously being forced because they couldn't do their jobs unless they're vaxxed. They couldn't go to the U.S. They couldn't even leave the borders of Canada or interstate borders.
God, that was such a good protest.
Yeah, it was.
And do you remember how they had to shut down their GoFundMe, and so they started a new thing. The lady who started it got imprisoned. I mean, Jesus Christ, Canada is something else. They're the liberal utopia that California wishes it was.
Exactly. I mean, they have laws that you can't misgender people. You can go to jail for that. Their hate speech laws are really draconian. They went after people that donated to the truckers. Donated. They didn't even do anything. They just donated. Their banks were frozen. Their bank accounts were frozen for just donating.
Yeah, I mean that's nuts to me. I can't believe they got away with that shit.
And they use terrorism laws. So but they don't have a system like us. I mean, we would be like them. What's this? This is him saying something.
Misinformation and disinformation is carrying people to believe things that are untrue. And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, bottom line, proof of vaccination will be required by no later than the end of this month for all federal employees. By mid-November, enforcement measures in place will make sure that everyone is vaccinated.
Okay, Psycho.
Yeah.
These tyrants, and
they're sick, man.
They're so sick. Doesn't he know it was all recorded? It was all recorded. Everything he ever does is recorded.
But I think if you're that much of a psychopath, you don't care, and people don't care. I mean, I know he's getting ripped on by people like you and me, but the Canadians don't care. They still think it was a good thing, that vaccinations were required. And even though, I mean, have you seen recently the Moderna and the Pfizer are no longer recommended by the CDC?
I did not. Oh yeah, or just one shot or something, right?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah. Well, it's not yearly anymore.
It's just, I don't know what to think anymore, man. It's really sad that we've gotten to this point and no one really seems to care.
I think it's just, I wouldn't say no one. I can comfortably say 30% of the U.S. population knows all this. 30%, but then those people are mostly apathetic anyway. That they know this because you're blackpilled when you know all this, that it gets away with this. So they've been getting away with it for decades.
Yeah.
So you're politically apathetic. You don't care. The system is not going to help you ever. So that's why we don't see too much of it. But like on at least on social media, I mean, thousands of people make fun of Trudeau for doing this. But yeah, does it mean anything when you have millions of morons voting them in?
Right. And that's the problem I have with it. And I mean, you can make fun of him all you want, but at the end of the day, he's still in power. He's still going to keep doing what he's going to do because he knows he can get away with it. I mean, look at this shit. He openly is lying to the public, and because what's going to happen to him? Nothing.
He got so rich doing this because apparently the Trudeau family owed the patents for something in the vaccines. So the guy is probably worth hundreds of millions of dollars for pushing that vaccine. That's why he did it.
Yeah.
And yeah, what is anyone going to do as a politician and as a government worker? He probably has immunity. He did what he did because he thought it was the right thing. So nothing's going to happen to him. We should just stop giving them the power. Like they use terrorism laws to go after people. That's what we should do is take those powers away from them.
Yeah, well, and we should stop considering everything that the government doesn't like terrorism because that's not what terrorism is.
Right. Yeah. And he called people that didn't want to take the vaccine misogynists and racists.
I know.
He
So
completely
dumb.
went after them.
So dumb.
Misogynist and racist. Okay. Makes no sense.
Whatever. You just gotta whatever words you gotta just come up with words to use to call people whatever you want.
Attack the other side.
Yep.
And I remember now, I'm just remembering now, is that he had, when the truckers came in, Trudeau came out. He goes, I saw a Union Jack flag, so they're racist. I mean, first of all, it's in Canada. Who cares? You know, I mean, just one flag was up there. Like,
I oh my god, I remember that story. Yeah, it was like people were waving Canadian flags, and there was like one out in the distance, and there's a Union Jack flag, obviously a Fed.
Yeah,
that flag was glowing so hard you could see it from space. Yeah, you know, and so they go, and then and then that allows you to say every single person there is a Nazi or whatever.
Yeah, and that's what he was doing. And he was trying to conflate that. So this psychopath, sociopath, trying to get away with it, trying to rewrite history. But it's up to us to keep sharing this information and other people to just remind everyone that these tyrants should never have power.
No, never, absolutely not.
Speaking of good politicians, Tim Burchett, he's great, especially with the UFO issue. I don't know if he's seen information. He definitely acts like he does, especially in the skiffs, right? They do have classified meetings with Congress people. So he was on News Nation. I like when he shares.
From what you're seeing, do you believe that a portion of these 650 cases actually originated from outer space?
I do. I think what the problem you have right now is we're asking the Pentagon to come forth with information that they've been covering up since at least 1947, the Roswell crash, and now they're going to ask us for funding, is what the Pentagon will do. That's their deal. You know, you have one side saying they're saying publicly that this is coming from some mothership or something, and then another one saying we have no indication that this is coming from extraterrestrials. Well, where else could it be? If it's not coming from China or Russia, they would own us if it was. And I just don't trust the Pentagon. I don't trust them at all. They've been covering this thing up, and that's who we're relying on for information. I've said this once, and I'll say it again. The way we're going to get this thing resolved is somebody's going to come out with some undeniable information, or the location of a craft, or some material that is extraterrestrial in nature, or footage that will have to come out, and it'll have to be better than these infrared sightings that we've seen.
Okay, and help us understand, because you're privy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I think he kind of touched on it towards the beginning there. It does seem like there is a kind of a schism in government and how we should be treating UFOs. There's one side that wants to release it to the public, and there's one side that wants to just say, this is nothing, don't worry about it. Keep watching Marvel movies and go about your business.
Yeah. And that's the problem. And nothing's changed. It's like someone always gets a phone call right at the end, and then we have no evidence, that these are extraterrestrial off-world vehicles. Okay, maybe they are telling the truth. Maybe it's this species here. Maybe it's advanced humans, so maybe they're not lying when they say that.
Or they're interdimensional beings, which I guess would not make them. Yeah. Who knows?
So that statement is not a lie, right?
Right. But I mean, it's very, very, what's it called? Misleading.
Very misleading. Yes. They're just saying that when you see something like that, it means that's either us or China and Russia. And that's it. Yeah. That's what you leave it to. That's nothing anomalous that we have it. I mean, anyway, so annoying.
It really is.
And when this guy says that the government will never come out and say anything, is not really helpful. Well, maybe. Oh, by the way, I do have a 360 camera that I'm going to take on our trip to that cliff, and I'm just going to put it and just let it record for how long we're going to be there for.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was gonna sit down with, or get on a call with you at some point and figure out all the stuff we want to bring. I'm considering even bringing my laptop just so I can write things down faster as I see it.
Well, the thing with that is that maybe it will glow because it's really dark.
I mean, the thing is, I want to record. I don't know. We can figure that out some other time. But yeah, we need to figure out all that we're going to bring.
Okay. I mean, definitely flashlights. Maybe we should scope it out before then so we can know what we're getting ourselves into. I remember there is a seat there, like a bench that we can sit on. And I do have that 360 camera. I can just plop it there and record it. I think it records for an hour or something.
Okay.
But I mean, we should bless this space, stuff like that, because I don't want just reading that book now. I don't want it to be demons, right? Or
right. Yeah, no, I hear you.
And speaking of, yes, we are both reading a book right now.
I haven't started quite yet, but I'll start today.
Okay, so I'm halfway through it. It's called Final Events in the Secret Government Group on Demonic UFOs and the Afterlife, by Nick Redfern. He's great. It was written in 2010, so I'll definitely leave a link in there, and we'll discuss it whenever you're done with it. I should be done with it. Maybe
Definitely. I mean, his other book that I've read is called The Real Men in Black, and that's really, really good.
Oh, he wrote that one, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that details all the Men in Black, from beginning to modern times, all the different sightings and stuff. It's a fantastic book.
All right, awesome. So here's the cover. Final Event is nukes. There's a demon there, and there's an alien. Love it. It's really well written, by the way. So you'll enjoy it.
Great, awesome,
some crazy stuff. That's what I was saying, though. I mean, I think we need to, once we try to communicate with these things and these beings, we just have to make sure we're getting the good ones. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think with UFO phenomena, you get out what you put into it. So yeah, if we come in with positive energy, and we make it known that we're not interested in causing any harm, I think that's what we'll get back, hopefully.
Right.
Or this, that will be the very last episode that's ever been recorded, because we won't be on this planet anymore.
Yeah, you never know. I did share this with you. It's the first time I've seen it too. It's actual footage of the 1942 Battle of LA.
So really quick, before you play this, can you sum up what the Battle of LA was for people who don't know?
So the Battle of LA, there was this was I don't know, was it after the Japanese?
It was during World War II, I think.
Yeah, it was after the Japanese also hit us. So that's what they thought this thing was. So this giant object came floating up near Los Angeles area, and then I think we shot thousands of munitions, and the whole city saw this. Long Beach saw it, Newport Beach saw it. I mean, there are hundreds of witnesses that saw this happen.
And sadly enough, people actually died from the shells that we shot at this thing.
Yes, exactly. And this thing, nothing happened to it. We had these spotlights on it. We were shooting it for hours. I think for hours they were shooting it.
Long time, yeah.
And now apparently it did fall somewhere in the desert, and the Navy got it or the Army got it. I forgot which one got it. But it was before the Air Force was created. So it was one of them. One of them had this object before the Air Force was even created. But I didn't know there was footage about it. Is it clear footage? Let's see.
The news of the world, Wednesday, February 25th. Once again, Columbia's correspondents in world capitals and in the fighting zones in the Western Pacific are ready to give you the latest news direct by shortwave radio.
Those are spotlights.
And now for news of our own West Coast, we take you to Los Angeles and the report of Byron Palmer. Anti-aircraft guns went into action against unidentified aircraft in the Los Angeles area shortly after 3 a.m. Pacific wartime this morning. The anti-aircraft guns began barking during a blackout ordered by the 4th Interceptor Command at 2:25 a.m.
Wait a minute. They did a blackout? So the Army did a blackout of the city first and then started shooting this thing.
Yeah, I think so they could see it better.
Whoa.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach. Army officials declined to comment on the possibility that the object might have been a blimp. However, it required nearly 30 minutes to travel some 25 miles.
A blimp that doesn't get shot down. Okay.
Far slower than an airplane.
There it is.
Watchers on the rooftop of the Columbia Broadcasting Building in the heart of Hollywood could plainly see the flashes of guns and searchlights sweeping the skies in a wide arc along the coastal area. Concussion of the shells could be felt in downtown Los Angeles.
Poor guys, man. Imagine you're trying to come in peace. You get shot at for half an hour.
Yeah. Sadly enough for me, all I could think about watching that footage is how great that, like, the old timey radio voice used to be. Down at Los
Angeles. Like that. Maybe we should do
Down in Los Angeles, it went by Long Beach and then Santa Monica, and it took 25 minutes to travel 30 miles.
You do that really well.
I'm technically a professional voice actor. I've gotten
paid
for voice acting
for a good reason. I mean, that was really good.
But it's obviously it's footage from 1942, so it's not the great. But I mean, You can, if you look up Battle of LA 1942, you can see the still photos, which have been enhanced a little bit. But it was a very, very bizarre thing. And yeah, we were on heightened alert because of World War II and getting hit after, this is after Pearl Harbor happened. I think I'd have to go back and check.
Yes, I think it just happened. It was like, that's right, because this is 1942. I think Pearl Harbor was 1941, right?
Oh, I think we might be wrong about this. I'm pretty sure Pearl Harbor was December 7th, 1942, because it was
Pearl Harbor. So if it was in 1942, when was the Battle of LA?
I thought that's in June.
So it was before it.
Yeah, so I think this was before Pearl Harbor.
So 1941. So December 7th, 1941.
Was Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 41. Okay, I thought it was 42.
December 7th, 1941. So then this happened in June 1942. So it was right after, and that's why we were shooting at it.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Man, I thought Pearl Harbor was 42. I got mixed up 41. Okay.
Yeah. So this has been happening for a long time. Now, it obviously wasn't doing anything dangerous. It was just floating.
Right, but during wartime, everyone's on high alert.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that makes sense.
And obviously, it's not good if something floats into your airspace, regardless of where. I mean, that's why we shot down those balloons that flew in from China.
That's true. Yeah, that now they don't even know, or it's still classified. At least the two other ones are still classified, and they didn't even go searching for them, or whatever they shot down was lost already.
Quote unquote, didn't go searching for them.
Yeah, quote unquote. It's so ridiculous. So yeah, that's what we have for this week. I know that the podcast is getting some traction, which is great. There is a thirst for this information out there, and if you're watching out for it, there's always something going on.
Yeah, there's always something going on. We've talked about our contact in Medellin, in Colombia. Yeah. And because there's a UFO flap going on there for those who've been paying attention the last few weeks. A lot of UFOs are being seen, and he reported that he has seen something similar. And he recently lost his phone. On the phone that was lost, he had footage. He said he'd taken pictures or a video, I can't remember which, of the object he had seen, but all the videos, that diamond shape, he said he saw something eerily similar, were his words.
Really? And so where was it? They're not in the ocean there, Medellin, right? It's
up in the mountains, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, up in the mountains. Okay, it's like a bowl. I know how that one looks. It's like a bowl. Yeah. But yeah, they always have sightings there in South America in general. They don't get shot at.
It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Brazil has crazy encounters. So that's somewhere I've never been, by the way, South America.
Oh man, I'd love to go sometime. Maybe that'll be once we set up our Patreon, our $1 million tier will be flying us around the world to different UFO hotspots.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if we do this one here successfully, maybe we can replicate it.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, awesome.
All right, cuz sorry I slept in today. I must have really needed to sleep.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm sure you needed to sleep. I woke up at 10 and I was like, oh no, and that's why I wrote you 15 minutes and then you didn't respond.
I was up pretty late last night watching movies and stuff, but I wasn't up that late. I would have gotten like 6-7 hours. I don't know why I slept through that much.
You needed it.
Yeah.
But so if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Twitter at UAP the podcast.
And I'm at Topher at all.
Yeah, so we're always there sharing, conversing with people. We're gonna try to get someone on the show, probably a family member first.
Yeah.
See if she's willing to come maybe next week, and we can have just a quick chat with her.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then
we've been teasing it for like a month now.
I know. It just things happen,
Yeah.
life happens.
Yeah.
So let's see if she's ready for it. I think she should. I'll get her all ready. You know what? We need to test though if we can add a third person onto this platform here without paying.
Yeah,
it just occurred to me.
We'll do a trial run. If not, we can always go on Skype.
All right, yeah, because we can have a group Skype. We can record there too, right? Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. That is Adam. I am Topher. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you all next week.